With everything that's happening economically and job losses, it may be time to get ready to prepare to barter. This is going to be a very enlightening and eye-opening YouTube video. And as I've said before, watch it to the end. Now, please do this. Hit the like button one time and subscribe to our channel wherever you're watching around the world. What does it mean to barter? Here's the definition of bartering: to exchange goods and services for other goods or services without using money. Now, people have pointed out that there are certain rules and regulations, especially with IRS when it comes to bartering. However, we're talking about not bartering major things, but bartering needs, personal needs that you may have that come up in the future. Now, I'm from the state of West Virginia. I was born in West Virginia, raised there very early, and I consider that to be my home state. All of my family on mother's side and dad's side are from West Virginia. Dad is from the Coalfield area of McDowell County, West Virginia, and Bartley area. And my mother was from Fairmont, and my granddad lived in Davis and Elkins, so we're very familiar with that part. I'm familiar with the entire state of West Virginia. Now, I have in my possession, and I keep it in a vault because it's family, some of the things that my family had when it was the Great Depression that went on from 1929 into the 30s. You know, 2,000 banks were closed, 25 to 30% of the people were unemployment, and the coal mines back in that time in West Virginia had what was called a company store, and you would buy goods from the company store, and the mines would give the miners what was called tokens, and they would take the token into the government store and they could buy certain things. Also, during the Great Depression, and I have one of these books, it's very dusty, and it belonged to my great-granddad Stone, the government issued special stamps, and these stamps, you would pull so many stamps out in order to take it to a store, and you could get for certain things for those government stamps. Now, bartering back in that day was the following. There were certain things that people needed. People needed flour because they made a lot of their own biscuits or bread. They needed coffee. They needed sugar and salt. And sometimes if they didn't make their bread, they needed bread. These are the basics: flour, coffee, sugar, salt, and bread. So many times there were shortages of these particular items, and someone in the neighborhood or someone in the coal camp might have it. So what they would do, they would barter something for the coffee, the flour, the sugar, the salt, and the bread. Also on the farms, and back many years ago, most people lived on a farm in West Virginia, Kentucky, southwestern Virginia, and if they didn't, they had small pieces of property that they would farm. But there were sheep, there were cows, there were goats. Some of the people farmed their land in small areas, and so they would trade goat's milk, or they would trade milk from a cow, or they sometimes would trade an animal for certain things. Now, my granddad Stone lived in a very poor town in Davie, West Virginia, and he lived on a hill. In fact, I have in my phone a picture of the house he lived in. It's all grown up now, and I went up there a few years ago. Now, I remember Granddad Stone had a hand plow, and he would plow in a rototiller they called it, and he would plow with that rototiller on the side of a hill, and he would grow his own food because they were very poor back in that day, so he had to live off the food, and he had spring water at the bottom of the hill. We had a big bucket, we'd fill it with water, and everybody would take that aluminum dipper and drink from the water. And so I didn't particularly like that when I was a kid, so I always got me a cup and put the water in it. So you can tell we're from the old school. We're from the mountains, you know. All my mountain folks, give me a thumbs up right now. If you're from Kentucky, West Virginia, Southwest Virginia, Southern Ohio, hit that thumbs up one time. Let me know that you know what I'm talking about, okay? So now what we do, let me go back to this for a moment. So now people trade. I have a sports card collection. I've been collecting cards for years. But a lot of times people will go to a show and they trade. They will say, we're going to give you this for this. Now that's trading. It's not really bartering, but it's a type of bartering and trading because you're trading one thing for something else of equal value, and there's no cash involved with that. Now, we buy things now through cash checks, credit card, debit card, etc. But there is a plan and it's for different reasons. There's an idea that people have come up with that said, we're going to try to do away with using cash, and we're going to go to some kind of a digital wallet, or we're going to go to some type of electronic buying and purchasing. Now, there's a problem with that, and I want to share with you what that problem actually is. The problem is that in the areas which are, let's say, the black communities in our cities, 26% of the adults, 12% in the white community, 38% in the Hispanic community, up to as high as 64% want to use cash. Not credit cards, not debit cards, not checks, but they operate off of cash. Sometimes it's because of limiting banking access. Sometimes it's a personal preference. There are older people sometimes that have fears of bank runs. And let's just be honest, there are undocumented people in America that operate off of cash and don't have a bank account of any type whatsoever. Now, also, when it comes to using cash, this is a statistic. The older generation likes to use cash. 55 and older prefer cash. 22, the 55 and out of the 55 and older, 22% prefer cash over checks or over, let's say, electronic banking. One of the reasons may be because the fear of hacking or the fear of people coming in that just, do certain things and trick people to get their money. Now, here's what's interesting. Ages 18 through 24. Now, this is kind of interesting. My son doesn't carry any cash, but 18 through 24, 35% of them prefer to use cash, although they do have apps on their phones that they can purchase things with. Now, here's the reason bartering may be needed in the future. When persons have job losses and they have been out of work for an extended period of time, and maybe they're not old enough to go on Social Security or benefits run out, then they have to look to how to barter to get what they need. Economic crisis, a major economic crisis. It could be deflation, inflation, but especially something with hyperinflation would create the need of bartering. There can be government cutbacks. We've already seen this that cause people to lack what they need in income or financial monetary ways, and also natural disasters. Now, another thing that happens, and this has happened to us, is many years ago we built a house. Well, the house it's a beautiful house, and we had a good friend of ours that did the design on it. So everything with the design and the house is beautiful. But we found out, for example, when they put the stucco on, I had to go and get my savings and redo all the stucco on this house from a savings account. And then the basement wall, one section started cracking, and the blocks were moving. It wasn't done right, and we had to redo that. Then the shower wasn't done right. We had to go to savings and repair that. I think the insurance helped us a little bit with that. But, insurance is amazing because you pay the bill, and then when you try to get something, you can't get it. And so then we had a situation where we found out the house needs a new roof on it, and that's a huge amount. So we have to go to our personal savings, which is part of some of your personal savings is retirement savings, and we have to pull the money out of that. Well, one of the things that you can do, now we didn't do this because we didn't have the time to do it. These were emergencies that we had to get people down there, and we had to redo the whole entire basement of our house. It's crazy. But we do know that there are people that may say, okay, I can do your roof, and if you will trade me this that you have, something of value, I'll do it for that. And so this is where the idea of bartering comes in. So here's what people need, and I talk about knowing your resources or knowing what you need. This is what you need to understand. You need to know your resources. You need to know your job ability. You need to determine the true value of anything you're going to barter with, and maybe even confirm that. And you need a deal in writing and not just handshakes. I've learned years ago that people's handshakes aren't always like they were in the old days. It used to be a handshake was your word, and your word was in your handshake. It's not that way now. And you have close friends you can trust, I'm sure, and people that you know. But I want to say this to you, that sometimes you're going to need mechanical work on your vehicles. You're going to need carpentry or home repairs. You're going to need some personal items items that you may be short of that you might going to need. And you may just have to come to a point where you're going to need some food. So this is where the idea of bartering can come in. Now, people can barter using different things. Some people have small gold coins, silver dollars, and they are of value. You can go to a shop and get cash for them, and that's one way you can pay if you have those collections. They have junk silver, etc., that has value to it. And so some people will use bartering that way. And that's why some people go into small gold coins and silver coins, because of the belief that one day it may be necessary to barter. I will tell you what, and I'm going to end with this, but listen, you got to hear this, that one of the most important things that you can do is, first of all, have a relationship with the Lord, to know how to pray and trust Him. This is going to be the biggest thing you're going to need, because the Bible says when the Son of Man returns, will He find faith on the earth? There's going to be a faith shortage in the last days, so don't lose your faith. But this is very important. I am a pastor's son. My dad pastored churches ever since I can remember, until when he got in his 60s, he began to travel with me till he passed away. Now, everybody needs what's called a home church. You need a place that you go where people get to know you, they get to know your children, because you can find sometimes help in that church, that when something comes up and you say, Pastor, I have a problem, the pastor will know someone that can help you with that, either at a very discounted rate, or sometimes if it's the case of a widow or something of that nature, they may be able to help you. So it's very important that if you possibly can, find a good church with a good pastor, good people, and get locked into that church community. I can't tell you how many times we've heard people say, well, can you help me out? And I say, who's your pastor? I don't have one. Where do you go to church? Well, I don't go to church. And so they want you to help them, but they don't have a church connection. They don't have a local pastor. And I'm telling you, it's very important that you have that, because the Bible tells us in Scripture to take care of, for example, the widow woman and those predominantly first of the household of faith. So our focus has to be on those that we know, those who labor among us, know those that labor among us. And I know a lot of the older people sometimes get to the age where they cannot go to church, but always try to have a contact with someone locally who does go, and have someone that you can call your pastor, because this is going to be very important in the days ahead. So I do believe that we don't have to wait till there's some kind of a bad time happening to actually barter. I've actually bartered things before, and I'd say, hey, I'll give you this if we can work that out, if you want to trade this. And again, it's more of a trade than a barter, but we've done that before. So just think about that thing, and think about what you have that could one day be used for that particular purpose. Some people have antiques, some people have artwork, some people have sports cards, some people have old coins, but always get an expert to do it, and somebody that you trust, because a lot of times people get ripped off and things are of much more value than they're told, because the person's trying to make a lot of profit off the person. And there's a lot I could say about that. Now, I need you to give it a thumbs up at one time. Do it right now. If you have not done that, that helps more people to see this. And also, I do need a lot of you in Canada, a lot of you in Latin America, a lot of you in the United States, a lot of you overseas that you speak the English language, you're able to understand me here, to hit the subscribe button. All you got to do is hit subscribe and hit the bell, and that way you'll know that I'm on. And you won't have to look me up, in other words. And we're trying to get to 1 million subscribers, and you can help me do that. Thank you. Keep watching. Always something special at the end.
Perry Stone is now making available his new landmark book, Prophetic Alert. Stunning new insights reveal what is coming soon, which explores and explains numerous, often unknown and untaught prophetic triggers that will lead to the rapture and the future Great Tribulation. Here are some of the 20 chapters. Ezekiel's war and the rapture link. The confusion over who is Gog of Magog. God versus Gog. Big hooks in little jaws. How can the Antichrist overpower a militarily armed Israel? Iran, land of the assassins and the gate of the gods. The spirit of Cain in the land of the east. Satan's main principality ruling in Middle East nations. The coming angelic cosmic wrestling match. Why do many Muslims dislike the Jews and Israel? The prophetic vision of the serpent in Gaza. When the abyss releases the destroying angel. Kings of the east and 1.5 billion Hindus in prophecy. When a dead head rises again. God's 4 weapons of destruction that are coming. Does the Bible hint at a nuclear war? You will learn great prophetic insight from these chapters and more. When you order the Prophetic Alert book with your gift of $25 or more, Perry will also select and include in this offer a mystery CD, a surprise audio message on CD. To order, visit perrystone.org or call toll-free 1-888-21-BREAD. That's 1-888-212-7323, or write to Perry Stone, P.O. Box 3595, Cleveland, Tennessee 37320. When writing, include your payment and offer number AB151. This is a very timely and important prophetic read for every Christian and all who love Bible prophecy. Your purchase is what helps keep Manifest on the air worldwide. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Whether audio or video, it's a timely, impactful word, ready whenever you are.